Caledonia Schools Board of Education meeting for March 18th, if you'd all rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I see a few new faces from last month, so just if you've been to a school board meeting before, please note that our agenda looks slightly different than it has in the past. Last month it was like this as well. After our consent agenda superintendent report, we're doing our action items first, and then they will be followed by discussion items after that. So we had switched to, instead of committees, we were doing a committee of the whole. So it's just switched up the order in which we're doing it. It's still the same stuff on our agenda, but just in case you're questioning why is it different, it's a trial run to see if this is how we're gonna continue or not. So we will be hopefully reevaluating that next month. But if you are here for public comment, we do ask that you fill out one of these cards. There is information on the back that also gives you more information about that. You do have 3 minutes to address the board as a whole. We do ask that we do have that follow-up information though. We do not answer questions right here at a board meeting, so the appropriate person would get back to you if that is what you're here for. We are now going to have roll call.
Carver Garcia.
Here.
Randall.
Here.
Isich here. Morris.
Here.
Nichols.
Here.
Sadu.
Here.
White.
Here. Student representative? All right, we are going to move on to public comment at this time. First, we have Kelly. Sorry, 2 Kellys. I'll take either one of you.
Don't fight.
Go ahead, Kelly Ballot.
I'm here for you. Okay. Whew. This is very nerve-wracking. I talk in front of students every day, but all right, here we go. My name is Callie Fallett, and I'm here as a mother of 2 young boys that attend Caledonia Elementary. I am here because I noticed a change in both of my children this year. I swore I wasn't gonna do this. A sadness. Last year, our full-time counselor at Cal, Katie Rekirk, was moved and replaced with 2 part-time counselors. When I heard the news, I sat in my car and I cried. I cried for Katie. I cried for the staff at Cal-El. I cried for the children at Cal-El. But mostly I cried for my own 2 children. I'm sorry. The support and love that Katie showed my 2 children on a daily basis was beyond what any parent would ever expect. That love and support she showed all the students at Cal-El, my children, were not an exception. Because she was there every day. She was able to build relationships with all the students and support the staff when needed. The teachers called her daily with social emotional needs in their classrooms. When an issue arose one day, she would follow up the next day. She was in charge of Tier 1 and Tier 2 needs with bulletin boards, lessons, and videos. She was in charge of Kids Food Basket, hand-to-hand, and Kids Hope mentoring. She planned and tied those necessities into her social emotional lessons in the classroom. She was in every classroom several times a month to teach those social emotional lessons. This was possible because she was full-time. She was there every single day. We need the same person teaching Tier 1 and Tier 2 lessons. Elementary age students thrive on routine and consistency. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. There is 0 consistency with Tier 3 needs. All of these needs are difficult to accomplish when you are part-time. Her position was filled with 2 part-time counselors. My sons have a great counselor this year, Margaret Eustitian, but she is only there 2 or 3 days a week. The support and love that wrong page. Why is she not there every day? Why was a phenomenal counselor like Katie Rekirk moved to the high school? Why did our elementary schools take the biggest hit last year when ESSER funds ran out? What is best for our children? What is best is having a full-time counselor at every one of our elementary schools. A qualified, trained counselor who wants to be there and can best meet the needs of our students every single day. Every level of education is important and has its own social emotional needs that a counselor can help with. Every one of our elementary schools needs a counselor like Katie Rekirk. The impact she made with Cal-El students last year was missed this year. The students need her back. The staff needs her back. The well-being of our elementary students is better supported with a full-time counselor, not part-time, a full-time counselor like Katie Rekirk and Margaret Eustachian. It's not an option, it's a must. If our children at the middle school and high school levels have full-time counselors that are available every day, our elementary schools should as well. When we support our students at the elementary level, we will see the benefits of that at the middle school and high school levels. I'm gonna leave you with this. Thank you for letting me go over 3 minutes. At the end of last year, I picked up my boys from school and unprompted, my 6-year-old said to me, "Mom, Miss Wecook's hips must hurt." To which I asked, "Why do you say that, buddy?" And he replied, "Because all the kids are always hugging her." So please think about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly?
Hello, team. I'm here as a representative of the CEA, and I have just some fun news to share with you about all of our buildings. Elementary teachers this month, it's March's Reading Month. If you're unaware, we invite many of you to come in and read books to our classrooms. We do many different things throughout the month. I know at our building, we had an author come visit. Every day, we have a calendar of activities. So if you have a Cal-El kid, you're supposed to dress like your favorite character tomorrow. So we walk around the hallways and flaunt all that. We are also being spoiled by our PTO, and we have Popcorn Fridays every Friday. So if you don't get vacuum Friday night, you might have a little guest in your classroom over the weekend. The high school English teachers have created a project based on the story Animal Farm. Students are assuming the persona of an animal character and write a persuasive piece to convince other animals to support their interest. Mrs. Yonkman's mock trial class at the high school continues to prepare for the state final competition. These students were able to prepare for the U.S. District Judge Robert Yonker, and students will be meeting with the Michigan Supreme Court Justice Elizabeth Clement on Friday. She's very passionate about this, by the way. My daughter talks about it all the time. This month, the practical communications classes are studying professional writing, speaking, and listening with Mrs. Yonker and Mrs. Cobb. These juniors and seniors have identified a career path and engaged in formal research to identify the steps they need to take for success. Students have now created resumes, cover letters that identify their skills and experiences, both in academics and real world experiences, which is so funny because I literally just left high school conferences to come here, and the AP language arts teacher was just telling me once they're done taking their AP tests, this is all they focus on. So I'm so glad to hear this, as I have juniors who are now getting into the workforce. They need to work on some of these things, and I do not want to teach them. So thank you, high school teachers. As they develop these professional portfolios, students will understand the value of business professionalism while they prepare for mock interviews on Tuesday, March 26th. We've invited over 45 area professionals to volunteer their time to assist in mock interviewing each student. They will be provided with common interview questions, but also have been encouraged to bring their expertise to the table and put their flair on their own interviews. Students will finalize their professional portfolios this week and plan their professional business attire. Our main goal is to allow our students to speak with the professional in the business-like setting and potentially make connections to area companies in need of young professionals in both summer work or internships. What a great experience. Craft Meadows teachers, Kaylee Bisbee, Alana Platt, and Allison Seekman's classes, they attended a unified basketball tournament at the Special Olympics building last Thursday. It was a fantastic experience for their students with disabilities to play with general education peers and a new learning experience. They look forward to being able to spend time on the track and field this spring. John Vanderplug and Tanya Heaton are working with other staff members at Craft Meadows for a Diversiprize and Be Nice art competition. Over 60 students entered an art piece. This week on Monday and Tuesday, classrooms will tour the art gallery in the Commons and vote on 5 of their favorite pieces. The top 10 winners will be announced this Thursday. Karen Rath, Lindsay Nichols, Kristen, I'm gonna spell her last name, or say her last name wrong. I think it's thank you, Ilief. Their third grade classes partnered with fourth graders for an opportunity to listen to folklore surrounding the different constellations they saw in the nighttime sky when they visited the planetarium at the GRPM. Being surrounded by the night noises of nature and the campfire crackling in the distance made this experience seem so real. Seeing what they have been learning about in astronomy unit was engaging and fun. They also had the chance to find answers from all the different parts of the museum with a scavenger hunt. It was a perfect time, a perfect time was had by all. Aaron Goodike traveled with members of the 7th, 8th grade choirs and the Craft Meadows Singing Scots, where they sang the national anthem at the Cal Taking Over the Gold event, hosted by the Van Andel Arena on Saturday. That's your news from Caledonia.
Thank you. Joe?
I am a volunteer at Ice Cream Express, and I just wanted to share with you how polite the children are. So I figured they're Duncan and Craft students coming. I was there Wednesday and then Friday afternoon. And over the years, it goes back to the pandemic, she was turned into the health department, so that's when I started volunteering. So I was there when there was a problem, but anyways, overall, the students are very polite. Thank you, whatever. So but then there's the dress code for these girls. And it's probably the parents' fault that they allow these dress codes. So I'm just old-fashioned. And then volunteers for the concession. So come fall time, we have a lot of fun at the football field when we sell pickles. Jennifer knows. We all hollered pickles. So that's just what I wanted to share. But seeing I got a little time, the sculpture that's at Emmons Lake, my son built. He graduated in 91. So that's what I have to say about the students. Be happy.
Thank you for sharing. Any additional cards? Okay. All right, at this time, we are going to move on to 6, which is our consent agenda. We have February 26, 2024 regular meeting minutes, March 13, 2024 committee of the whole minutes, March 2024 personnel report, and February 2024 payables.
I move that the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Are there any questions, corrections, concerns on any of those? Please have roll call.
River Garcia,
Yes.
Randall,
Yes.
Isich, yes, Morris,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Sadoo,
Yes.
Light.
Yes, motion carries. On to 7, superintendent report. 7A is preliminary 2024-25 budget review. Mr. Breeze.
Hello, so this is the time of year we actually start to look at our budgets for next fiscal year. And so as part of that, we do a draft preliminary budget and review that with you as a board. And then we'll be meeting with administrators this week as well to look at needs in each of the buildings and departments as we formulate and work this, what the budget will look like next year when we take a proposed budget to you in June. So in this preliminary draft budget that we will look through, we make some assumptions. And what we know today on the revenue side, we're looking at flat enrollment. We are also using the governor's proposed $241 per student foundation increase. That would be a 1.2 million increase to the budget. There's also some various increases from mixers and a few other line items that would add up to 0.6 million increase. And then we also have the elimination of the ESSER grants as well as several other grants that total the elimination of 3.6 million in the revenue side. On the expenditure side, at this point, right now, we're looking at all current programming and current staff that we have. All the contractual steps and percentage increases are included. There is a 10% increase on the insurance costs for those elections that staff made in our recent January open enrollment process. Of that 3.6 million in the grants that are being eliminated, I have them listed here. The first two are the biggest, of course, with ESSER 3 and 11T. Then we have some of those safety grants that are not in the plan for next year. 31AA, which is a combination of that safety and mental health area, is unknown at this point, so that's been eliminated. And then two smaller ones of 32U and future educator stipends. There's a notation here that the ESSER funds have to be spent by September 30, 2024. There will be a small amount that we are planning to roll over into next fiscal year to cover the cost of planned summer school that we have. But all ESSER funds must be expended by September 30. Then if the actual projection itself is in this document, and all this will be linked and available on our website. This first page of the preliminary budget you'll see is a summary. The column on the left are our audited numbers from last fiscal year ending 2023. Then the next column to the left is our current amended budget. Middle column is our projected preliminary draft we're looking at tonight. And then the right two columns are looking 2 years out beyond that. So you will see that our revenues, we're looking in the middle column, coming in at 69.8 million. Expenditures, 74.6 million. So we are projecting right now a $4.7 million shortfall. And then if you scroll up just, a touch to see the bottom total numbers on the screen, a little bit more right there. You'll see what that happens to our fund balance. So currently we're at a 10.3 million fund balance, which is just under 15% of expenditures. Current year, our amended budget that we're projecting right now to end this fiscal year would end us at 9.9 million fund balance, which is just under a 14%. So in this preliminary draft for next year is looking at bringing that down to fund balance down to 5.2 million, which is just under a 7% fund balance. And by doing nothing, then that would be eliminated in the fall, like we'd have no fund balance available. So I made a notation here too with the shortfall. We had federal stimulus funds, and so it was the reduction and elimination of those funds that are causing the majority of this shortfall. We did plan this, we did eliminate, or I should back up. In the going into the 22-23 fiscal year, we hired 21 teacher positions with those federal grants. Going into fall of 2023, we did eliminate 11.5 of those positions, which with the remainder of eliminations needed for fall of 2024. 4.7 is a bigger number, so knowing we have work to do in preparation for what that will look like when we bring a budget to you in June. You scroll down to the next page. This looks at our enrollment projections. We usually get projections done through Stanford's consultants, and our projections over the last several years has pretty much been a projection of somewhat flat, slow increase. So the items there in red are all historical numbers, so those are the actual numbers that came in. And if you look at the column to the far right, those are our actual fall numbers. So you'll see the 3 years prior to COVID, we were relatively flat. The 2 years of COVID, we lost 200 students. And you'll see the bottom number, we have not regained that back yet. So we have not regained the students we lost prior to COVID. So we are estimated to still have a slow growth, and you'll see in fall of 2025, our high school class, we have a large high school class that will be exiting, so we are planning to probably have a drop in enrollment that year. And then the next page. starts to look at all of our revenues and the detail each of the line items have. The assumptions are at the top. The blue section is all our state revenues. The items highlighted in yellow are those line items that encompass and make up our foundation grant. And then if you scroll a little bit to the bottom of that page, you'll see the other color, that's our local revenues. And then if you scroll to the next page, that finishes up our revenues. Federal grants are like the pink color, and then the bottom section is other revenues. And then if you scroll to the next page, that starts the expenditure side, and you'll see here that colored section, the majority of our costs fall in staffing. So this peach section is all the line items that make up staff costs, and typically it's anywhere from 85 to 90% of our budget is in staffing. And then when you scroll a little bit to the bottom, that's then all non-staff costs by function area. And then the next page is also continuation of non-staff and its various functions. Then at the bottom has total expenditures expected, projected shortfalls, projected fund balance again. There is a line included in here in the bottom that provides the days of operating expense that would provide. And then the very last line is the amount of the shortfall projected. And by doing nothing, you can see that goes away quickly. So we do have some work to do to right size the budget. Then if you go back to the slides. This was a slide taken from when we adopted the budget back in June of 2022 with our ESSER funds, knowing we had a couple years with ESSER. We hired ESSER positions, and in that year, we hired a total of 31.4 new positions. But yet we haven't regained any of the students. So we do have quite a few positions that we've added without the revenue to back that. So I don't know if there are any other questions that you have. We did talk about this as a full committee of the board this past week, and we'll put this on the website as well.
Just a couple of things I'd like to add to it too. This is, of course, this last slide represents all that money that is going away. And so you can see how many positions that was, and Sarah's referenced that a couple of times, so those will be difficult conversations. We're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna manage this, because that's a large amount of money that you see incorporated here. The other things are that the state budget process is far from done. All we have to go on so far at this point is the governor's recommendation, and while that provides a starting point, that's certainly not the end. We will see where things go from here. There are a couple of major things to watch for coming up, and we'll try to keep you informed on those, but both the House and the Senate will be releasing their own versions of the budget coming up in the next few weeks. Those are expected around the time of spring break. And then from there, they will start the process of the three entities, the governor, the House, and the Senate, working together to try to come up with a final budget package. And as you who are veterans know, that typically we get in hopefully by June, right? By the time we're trying to have our budget finalized as well. The other really important thing that we'll keep you informed of is in May, when the state does the latest update of its revenue collections, which is of course the money that they're gonna have to disperse to us. And so depending on how those revenue collections go, that will determine how much they're able to include in their budget to pass along to us. And so we'll have to watch for that and see the direction of where those go. It's all predictions, of course, and but then those are the numbers that they will use in the end. And so that's why they don't make a budget earlier than that. They're trying to wait for their best information in May so that they can incorporate that into the budget in June. So the work that we are doing now is based on some of those somewhat fuzzy parameters that we have from the state, but we do the best we can, and we're ready to maneuver based on where things come in. So we will keep you informed as we go along on that.
Tim?
Yeah, if we could pull page 3 of that deck that you had there, that slide deck. Of items,
You had it right.
Oh, back to this, the presentation, and perfect.
Yeah, there you go. Items, the third through the sixth item, about what percent of that would be one-time cost and not reoccurring for next year? And in fact, what is like something that's not salary related?
So in that, I'd say 90% is non-salary related. The majority of that is non-salary related. So in this, for sure, this line, third and fourth bullets in section 97. 97 was all non-staff related items around security. And then the one that includes some bit of staffing is part of the 31AA, safety and mental health. So in this current school year, that was the allocation where they combined last year's 31AA and section 97 into one. And so that does include a little bit of offset include some staffing. It's about 2.5 positions roughly.
Okay, thank you.
I need to add one thing on that. So section 31AA is listed here because it is in the state's eyes one-time funding, so we are not guaranteed that it could be back again. However, it is possible it's back again. We just, at this point, we can't count on that until we see it in the state budget because they specifically list those things as one-time funding. And so what we're hearing is it might be back. But each year, that's gonna be one that's gonna be, we'll have to watch and see if we do get it back or not, so.
And remind me, can that be used for salary related or is that?
Well, right, as Sarah said, there are a few things in it that we are using for personnel, but the majority of it is being used for safety improvements and other items like that.
Okay, thank you.
Jason?
I was just wondering if we were able to find out for sure when the county enhancement millage, which is like 1.5 million for us, is gonna be up.
I did not double
Okay.
check that. I believe it's 2026, but I will get back with you on that.
I knew it was sometime soon-ish, so.
Additional questions? Thank you. All right, we're gonna move to 7B, which is custodial services contract. Mr. Hess?
Some year I'm gonna get to present before Sarah comes up here and talks about the budget. No, it's okay. Back in 2020, 2021, and 22, it was clear and apparent the district was very challenged attracting, hiring, maintaining our custodial staffing. At that point, we entered into a custodial staffing contract, which has provided services at Duncan Lake and Craft Meadows since that time, and we are approaching the entrance of our third and final year of that contract. We are beginning a discussion, no actions at this point even remotely considered or asked for, just opening a discussion amongst our administrators, ourselves, and the Board of Education regarding whether or not we wish to look to continue that contract, go past June 30th, look into future years, or do we wish to bring that custodial service back into the house? Reality is, it's been a fairly positive experience. We do have our challenges. Winter is the worst of the challenges for us, and we fully understand why. So looking at it going forward, obviously with deference to the budget process, we will certainly continue to discuss this administratively with a great deal of care. Our goal in the long run is to bring the service back, potentially bring the service back in-house at a cost lower than what it would cost to contract it. That's our goal. We're gonna try to accomplish that with a variety of interesting schedules and try to make it happen. Our custodial services are extremely efficient. On a national scale level, we are cleaning more square foot per custodian every day than a vast majority of schools and businesses around. Think of your house and think that a custodian cleans 30,000 square feet every night. That's usually about 15 houses worth. Now, we don't have the living room, the playroom, the mudroom, and all those things, but we do have a lot of bathrooms. So just kind of something to keep in mind as we move forward. We're gonna try and do this right and keep it as efficient as we possibly can.
Jason?
So one of the things I think that led us to contracting originally was finding people to fulfill the staffing. What are we seeing from a staffing level? Are we confident we'd be able to hire people?
Yes, we are actually seeing more applications when we publicize well. We are actually seeing consistently more applications coming in for our positions, both driving buses and custodians and maintenance than we have in the past. So it's definitely on an uptick. That wave of improvement in the market has finally hit that level, so it's a good thing.
I think given the budget situation that we're facing, not for now only, but moving forward, that will be an extra look into getting the most competitive contract with our suppliers and being aggressive on our contracts with our employees.
We are extremely aggressive with our supplies contracts and our supply use. In fact, our own people do far better than our contractors do. So we're good in that department, and that will also help contribute to the eventual potential cost saving we're looking for, so.
Any additional questions? Good, thank you.
We will keep you up to date.
Perfect. Alright, we're gonna move on to 7C, which is 27K process, student loan repayment. Mr. Kingsbury?
And as he's approaching, we looked it up and the enhancement millage was passed in May of 2017. So it would be time to renew again in 2027.
All right, thanks. 27K, last Wednesday, we brought this before you. Just a reminder on how that process works. The state of Michigan allocated $225 million to repay the student loans of Michigan educators. About 40 of our staff members are eligible for that. The only thing sometimes we forget is we are not experts at student loans. So in order to process this, we are working with Kent ISD and some other districts that are using a third-party contractor named Fiducious, where they have the expertise to verify eligibility for these loans, process, track, tell us when we have to make the payment because eligibility changes throughout the process. The amount of the payment changes throughout the process as well, where they have that expertise. For us, I know I'd be struggling a lot, but that's a $6,000 a year expense. So we talked about that. Just wanted to bring that up as a reminder there. I think it's money well spent to be accurate and get things done that we need. Any questions?
Well, I'll just add, this is a required thing that the state has asked us to do and mandated, is that right?
I'd have to look at the actual legislation, but I don't know of a single district that's not doing it per se. So I'd have to follow up on that for you.
Okay. Thanks.
Any additional questions on that? Okay, we can move on to 7D, which is secure education consultants contract.
Secure Education Consultants, they do different services for us in terms of providing school assessments and other types of services. One of their new branches is called SEC Shield. This branch of their business actually hires and contracts with districts to provide security managers or even security directors. What we currently have in two of our buildings are armed security staff. When we started that, it was kind of the tip of the whole process of getting those things done. So there's not many districts or any at all that don't have armed guards that aren't part of the sheriff or local police department. So as a district, that leaves us with some liability if, heaven forbid something should happen and a student is injured as a result of one of these guards taking action sometimes. So last time Mr. Wheeldry and I met with Mr. Russell, he did make the proposal that he could bring those two individuals on to into his company as employees and take some of that liability away from the district, as he has different training programs and different standards that he knows will assist with that. So that's something we haven't made a decision on, we've been talking. I know there's a question, would SEC be able to help support larger events like a basketball or football game? And I did get confirmation from Mr. Russell that they would be able to do that. They do have enough personnel in the area for that. And we just wanna weigh that with the cost of the sheriff department too. So it's something nice about having the whole county sheriff piece there too. But you know, we could always, cause they're in high demand on those games too, so adding some others could be a good balance for that too, so. Any questions?
Thank you for the follow-up on that, Jennifer.
I just have a question pertaining to the staffing. So right now with having the guards employed by us, if they're ill or out for a family matter, they're out, right? We don't have
Correct.
coverage for that.
Correct.
If we were to employ through Shield, would they provide an alternate in the
They would,
case?
so basically, yeah.
Okay, but we would still have that consistency of the same person who could build relationships with the students that they
Yes,
normally.
it would be the people we have on staff right now, unless they were sick, but there are some times that they have a sick day and we don't cover that now, so we'd always wanna kind of balance in between that. If it was an extended period, we would definitely wanna go that route, so.
Additional questions?
I just have one thing, it's my understanding that when we decided to employ them last year, the year before, I'm sorry that I'm not
Sure.
recalling
No,
exactly, but
This is the second year, yes.
thank you, that's what I thought. That we explored adding like additional insurance in order to like cover their work with us, so would those costs change with our insurance company as well, like would Shield take some of that on, how would that
That
work?
would be the purpose of that, taking on, I don't know how much more insurance we've added, I'd have to verify and get with
Yeah,
that, but it would be taking some of the liability. I can't equate it to a dollar amount, but
I just remember when we looked there, and there weren't even great necessarily insurance plans for it because it was such like a new concept, as you said,
Right,
we were really
right.
on the forefront of this and
Yeah.
having this sort of service available
Sure.
in our schools, which was amazing, but also left us in a place of like, okay, how do we make sure that we have adequate coverage, so
yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure that they would be able to support that part too.
I'd have to do a little digging on that and how that would look, so I can get back with you.
Anything else?
I'll just say, yeah, this is something we're continuing to talk about and work through. We have several questions too, so if you have other questions that come up, please let us know, and more thoughts on this, the better, as we keep looking into it.
Yeah, we're exploring and finding things out, so yeah, extra questions are helpful, so.
Thank you. Great, 7E, Informacast Fusion Mass Notification System Upgrade, Mr. Bookme.
Good evening. As I shared with you last week, we are looking to move our mass notification system from the current version of Informacast to the latest version that they have, which is Informacast Fusion. The advanced version is not being enhanced or updated any longer, and we are at the point where we need to renew our license for that software, for the system, with our mass notification and PA systems throughout the district. The Fusion package will give us all the things we have today, plus give us additional licenses for users to use the mobile app, so we can expand the reach of that to more members of our emergency medical response teams in the buildings, other key personnel that don't currently have access to that software. And this we are looking to fund with the safety grant money that's available, and this is a 3-year license that we would be going for.
Thank you. Did you have additional on that?
Well, this goes back to that 31 AA grant that we were talking about a short time ago.
Additional questions on this item? All right, we're good, thank you. We're gonna move on to 7F, which is Mr. Wheelwright.
Yeah, just a few other items to mention tonight, and Kelly highlighted a few of the great things going on, so I'll just mention March being reading month. I just really appreciate all those folks who have been doing the guest reading, especially board members or community volunteers who come in, because it's really a great time and a fun thing to go in to read to all those youngsters. So A lot of great activities going on there. Orchestra had a wonderful weekend with 22 students at State Solo and Ensemble receiving the highest rating possible, a first division rating at the state level, so that is fabulous. Our drone teams also were in competition last weekend, and they did a fabulous job. 7 of the 8 teams in the finals were Caledonia teams, so we pretty much dominated the competition, and therefore we have 3 teams moving on to the highest level of competition. It's like on a regional basis. They don't do nationals per se, but it's more of a multi-state regional competition in May, so 3 teams will be representing Caledonia there. Our DECA students were in competition this past weekend in Detroit, and 4 students qualified to go on to the international competition out of that. And then our esports team, which we highlighted a month or 2 ago, was in competition this weekend at GVSU, and they came away with first place here in their first year in competition. And our 3 students on that team, Cameron Mealy, Brandon Kidder, and Tyler McAllister, took first place as a team. And also was told that GVSU and Davenport were there scouting for talent for scholarships next year. So apparently some of the students here may get an esports scholarship for college. How about that? And then, as Kelly also mentioned, the mock trial state championships, those are coming up this weekend. And so best of luck to our team as they compete. And we thank the judges who are helping prepare them. Locally, Judge Yonker, as she mentioned, he's the former chief judge of the Western District Circuit Court here, federal court. So that's some high-powered training that our kids have been able to access. So appreciate their willingness to help too. And that's it for mine.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Wheelberg?
I can clarify on the student loan repayment plan too. I did look at that. It is not a requirement by districts.
Not a requirement by the state for districts to participate? Okay,
That is correct.
all right. Is there any follow-up on that, based on that? Do you have what you need?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
perfect. All right, thank you. We're gonna move on to 8, which is our action items. 8A is the Dutton Elementary Site Construction Change Order.
I move that the board award the low voltage, oh, sorry, I was reading the wrong one. Back up to the first page. Apologize. All right. I move that the board authorizes the superintendent to approve the change order for the soil remediation at the Dutton Elementary construction site.
Second.
Thank you. Any further questions on this?
Just to recap, so this is bringing back to you per the contract when we exceed a certain amount of expenditure in our contingency funding for this soil remediation. This was known to be something we'd have to be watching at Dutton Elementary with the ground there, and so this is bringing back to you to authorize that change.
May I roll call, please?
Sadoo,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Isich, yes, Brandow,
Yes.
Weber Garcia,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. On to 8B, Emmons Lake IP paging project.
Now I'm on the second page.
Okay.
I move that the board award the low voltage cabling and public address system bid at Emmons Lake Elementary to Town and Country for $119,322.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any further questions or clarification on that? All right, can I please have roll call?
Isich, yes, Brandow,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Weber Garcia,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Sadoo,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. On to 8C, we have school safety grant purchases.
I move that the board award the bid to the following vendors for the respective bid categories. Low voltage cabling to Shareco Communications in the amount of $73,255. CDWG for camera and speaker hardware in the amount of $37,552.94. And door access controls through Nightwatch in the amount of $57,583.62.
Second.
Thank you. Any other questions on this?
Again, I just point out that this is again part of that 31AA safety grant funding.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call, please?
Nichols,
Yes.
Member Garcia,
Yes.
Sadu,
Yes.
Brandau,
Yes.
Isich, yes, Morris,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. On to 8D, textbook adoption.
I move that the board approve the adoption of the high school textbook American Politics and Government Today by William Bianco and David Cannon at the cost of $22,500 for the advanced placement government class.
Second. Do I have any questions, comments? Tim?
I spent some time looking at the book. I like it. I think it's very balanced politically. I know that's always a big question when it comes to government. I like the inspiration on how it encourages students to think critically. And yeah, I think it's a good book.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you for those that took the time to review that as well. Can I please have roll call?
Member Garcia,
Yes.
Sadu,
Yes.
Brandau,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Isich, yes, Nichols,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. On to 8E, superintendent contract.
I move that the board ratify the superintendent's contract beginning January 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2028.
Second.
Second by John, thank you. Are there any further questions on this contract? We are pleased to have reached this point of working this out, so it's certainly been busy for our finance committee that had started working on this, and certainly difficult to coordinate all parties involved with managing the district every day and getting this done, so we're pleased to move forward with this. Can I please have roll call?
Brandau,
Yes.
Isich, yes, Morris,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Sadu,
Yes.
Member Garcia,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. This time we will move to 9, which is our discussion items. 9A, computer replacement purchase. Mr. Bixby?
And it is that time of year when we start looking at replacing equipment over the summer. This year, we have a smaller batch than we did this past year. We're looking to replace 3 computer labs, one at the high school, one at Kraft, one at Duncan. There are 20 desktops, 80 laptops in the mix. And then also the 1,100 Chromebooks that we do annually, which is about 20% of the install base that we refresh each year. The pricing for this will come off the statewide REMC contract. That pricing will be finalized at the end of this month, and I will come back to you next month with the dollar amounts for that equipment.
Any questions at this time? Obviously, we will be hearing this again. Tim?
Are these bond funds or are these general funds?
This is general fund.
Thank you.
Anything else at this time?
Yeah, one question.
Yes.
It mentions in the proposal that there's 3 computer labs that are gonna be replaced, one at each of the secondary buildings.
Correct.
Yeah, or which type of computers are those? Like, what are those? Are those used in addition to the Chromebooks?
Yes, they are. So the computer labs at Kraft and Duncan are STEM labs, which has specific curricular software that they run in those locations, and then the one at the high school is a CAD lab.
Thank you, that's helpful.
Yes.
Anything else? All right, great, thank you.
Thank you.
On to 9B, bond musical equipment purchase. Mr. Hess?
Okay. The Caledonia High School has requested a portion of their furniture, fixtures, and equipment bond funds from the 2020 bond be utilized for the purchase of durable fine arts instruments. Durable in this context indicates that the equipment will remain in service for an extended period of time or is foundational in nature. Bells, large Percussion, thank you for the word there, totally gone. Percussion
I
equipment.
was a percussionist, so yeah.
There you go, that gave it away. Large string basses, cellos, items that will remain in service for an extended period of time and not be depreciated very quickly. And everything on their list is meeting that description. This will close and finish the FF&E 2020 bond funds for the high school. In submitting this request, the Fine Arts Department shared that the order and the quote from Marshall Music is the one that is attached. We have had a apparent long-term relationship with Marshall Music, indicating that they provide a great deal of services to the district, warranty, repairs, little to no cost on a regular basis. And I am recommending when we get to it next month that we continue that relationship and continue this purchase with these remaining funds.
It's exciting to see this come through. We don't often get to see this kind of a purchase come through, so I'm sure our band and orchestra programs are thrilled,
I
so.
have never been in front of the board representing a string bass or a sousaphone before.
I
This is
know.
new for me too, so
I
it's
know,
kinda cool.
I can only imagine how old some of these might be, so.
Kinda
this-
nice.
It is very nice. Are there any questions for Mr. Hess at this time? Tim?
You mentioned the service contract and it's low cost. Do we have a service contract with this, or is this just a gentleman's like?
It's an agreement, yeah, it's a long-term relationship, not a quote contract that's on paper, no.
Okay, I just think we should note that
Mhm.
this may not be a forever thing, where we're getting such a great value with this vendor.
The implication, I don't think Marshall Music's going anywhere, they supply pretty much every high school in Michigan, if not multiple states around us too, so that's good.
I'm just more
Yep.
comfortable with the contract.
And the word, yeah, understood.
Additional questions? No? Right, thank you. At this time, we're gonna move to 10, which is board comments. Do I have any board members with anything? Jason?
Okay, so this will be the final time that I bug you guys, and then for those in the audience and those that did not come to the committee meeting, but you may remember in board memos and other places, Brody Woodwick is a student at Caledonia High School. We're going to PT the Parent Teacher Association for the high school and raising funds for a Veterans Memorial. There is a fundraiser at Butcher Block Social this Saturday from 5 to 11 to help raise funds for this memorial that will go outside of the Fine Arts Center at the high school. I invite you all to attend because I think it'll be a good time. There's going to be a band made up of all veterans. I think it's the Michigan String Militia or Michigan Militia something band. I can't remember the name offhand, but they look and sound fantastic on their YouTube page. So I think it'll be a great time. So come raise some funds, put up a little Veterans Memorial, and help support Brody's vision.
Thank you. Any additional board comments? All right, we are good to go then. I just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
We have a second. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, everyone. Have a great night.